unpacking today's headlines. This is Souls and Liberty in Depth.
Hello everyone and welcome to In Depth, the production of Souls and Liberty. Just 92 days remaining until the election, and markets around the world are nosediving at even the hint of a Harris presidency. But all the media seem to care about is, hey, she's black and she's a woman. Joining us today to talk about why the media is pushing a lie and ignoring major news, our fellow Souls and Liberty contributors, Stephen Wynn, first coming to us from Kansas City. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Oh, as usual, very good. And Arthur Clareau in Toronto. How you doing, Arthur?
Hey there, how's it going?
Very good, very good. All right, I'm your host, Gary Michael Boris. Let me start with you, Arthur. As a Canadian, because this is different, America has this whole kind of like, race, society, and slavery history and all that. But as a Canadian, what do you make of all of this constant harping on race in U.S. politics?
Well, the first thing I think of is, man, I should have been born a black woman.
But no, the sad reality of it all is that it's now been exported across the Western world. Yeah. So American style focus on race exists now in Canada in the exact same way it exists in the UK, it exists in Australia. Wherever you go across the West, it's a big deal. And it's unfortunate because it's a great buzzword. It's a great way to completely redirect attention away from whatever important thing is being discussed or needs to be discussed towards, just kind of something else that can't really, go anywhere. So, for example, if you were taking Kamala Harris, you might want to talk about her policies, what she's done in California, what she's done as a senator, what she plans to do, which is probably going to be the exact same thing that Biden and Obama did over the last 2 decades almost now. But no, we're going to talk about her race because the appeal is hopefully that will shut everybody up about anything else because, hey, this is a black woman. Be quiet. A black woman is speaking.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's just, it'll appeal to a large portion of the population that since 2020 have also been extraordinarily race focused.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a concern as well if you're going to grab an election, you go after, I wouldn't even call them low information voters. That's an apology to the low information types. Stephen, this all grabbed hold last week when Trump was at the National Black Journalists Association conference and essentially got called a racist by an ABC News reporter. First question right out of the gate. She was pushing her agenda, but of course she was saying it in the form of a question. She said, oh, you did this and you did that and you're a racist and you're a loser and you suck and how dare you stand here in front of a bunch of black people? What do you think? So Trump's response is what got the ball really rolling on all of this.
Yeah, it was really a disgraceful exchange. Rachel Scott, the ABC News correspondent, she came out with guns blazing, just launched this blitzkrieg on Trump. Yeah, basically all but calling him directly a racist, and it was offensive, really. And he gave as good as he got, which he had every right to. He was taken aback by her tone, the nature of the questioning, and in the course of the exchange, shall we say, he was asked whether he thought that Harris was a DEI pick, basically, and almost like an affirmative action candidate. And he ended up talking about how, up until she really started climbing the political ladder, she had focused almost exclusively on her South Asian heritage, and he was right about that. She became black, quote unquote, when she started climbing the ladder, and the reaction from the audience was quite interesting. There's a lot of chuckling, but I think people understand that that's really how it is. It's just identity politics. It's similar. Remember when Hillary gave a speech down south, and suddenly she was sporting a Southern accent.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. It's just they run on identity rather than substance. I couldn't help but
because they can't run on substance.
Right. And I couldn't help but contrast Scott's questioning, her line of questioning, with that of Harris Faulkner of Fox News. She came out respectful, basically, started asking Trump about his thoughts on economic policy, and that actually produced a substantive discussion. Talking about how inflation, the key to restoring economic growth in this country, economic viability, is curbing inflation, and the root of that is instituting sound energy policy. It was a cerebral discussion rather than emotional, and I just couldn't help but contrast the two. It was really interesting.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, most people may not even realize, because of course the media didn't report it, that, or at least not very largely, that while he was in Atlanta, Trump met with black business owners to talk about what their concerns are and all that sort of stuff and everything. Of course, he'd done that in his first term and had been a big proponent of minority-owned businesses and helping give them I guess you'd call it something of a leg up, recognizing some particular challenges that they may have, and he wanted to kind of even the playing field a little bit. He's doing what, he's trying to raise everybody up to the same level, and Kamala's trying to drive everyone down to the same level. So I'm going to follow up with you here. The Trump rally in Atlanta over the weekend, his rally. There's a young black woman who turned attack dog on Kamala. I want to show the audience this, and then get your thoughts.
See, the first step in destroying the black community is to dismantle the black family. So aside from her record as a prosecutor, why don't we ask Mrs. Willie Brown if Kamala Harris cares about black families?
That, of course, is a reference to Kamala's affair with former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, which launched her career. Stephen, your thoughts? It's good red meat, but is there a larger strategy there? Or is this going to turn off some voters? I mean, Trump didn't say it, she did, but she said it at a Trump rally.
Right. Well, I think there's a point to that. Her political rise really has been built on a foundation of adultery, and that coupled with her focus on just identity politics, that doesn't make a great leader. What makes a great leader is demonstrated leadership, is sound policy, and so forth. So in that sense, it may turn some people off, but I think it's a valid point. Michaela Montgomery was the lady's name. She was stellar, really, really good, and she basically just laid it all out. She approached her critique, her analysis of Trump versus Harris, from a facts not feelings sort of perspective. She talked about how under Biden Harris, the Black Americans are suffering a great deal. Economically, they're being hurt by inflation every bit, if not more, than Caucasian Americans, and they're suffering too. And so basically she really outlined what really matters at the end of the day. It's how much, are you able to put food on the table? Are you able to buy medicine for your sick parents or your sick child?
Exactly.
How much does it cost you to
baby formula?
Yeah, exactly. So she was stellar. I really enjoyed listening to her.
Yeah, she was quite the spark plug. She was very, very fun. Arthur, before I ask you about George Stephanopoulos, on who we lovingly refer to kindly as Snuffleupagus, on ABC this past Sunday, there's a difference going on here between, and look, the Democrats and the communists, the left, are very good at this. They take a term and they obscure it and they conflate it with another term. So when the media is jumping forward saying, she's black, blah, 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 the implication of that word, that term black, means to the common folk walking around in America every day, black refers to not just, yes, your skin tone or skin color, but it also refers to the whole experience of having been raised as an African American, with sort of all that came with the aftermath of slavery and the civil rights movement, and all of that, the whole African American experience. It's most of us have sort of used those two terms interchangeably, but now the left is capitalizing on that. Yeah, her skin color is darker than a white person. But that's about where the whole black experience comes to an end. So Snuffleupagus on ABC this Sunday went after a black Republican from Florida, Byron Daniels, essentially calling him a racist, or at least implying that he backed some kind of racist agenda because he supported Trump. Are they afraid here, they meaning the communists and the media and the Marxist allies and the whole bit, are they afraid of kind of losing the narrative here a bit, do you think?
They're afraid of losing the
narrative as much as they are pushing the narrative. Well, you have to remember with terms like racist, and this goes for every other buzzword that is used to shut down someone from speaking or to make someone seem like a horrible person and essentially attack their character. These are actually communist terms at their core. These are terms used for that purpose. They were created for that purpose. These are not honest, well-meaning terms that have been corrupted. They are corrupt from the start. The reason that they found these so powerful, and the reason that they keep using these kinds of words to shut down people, including, black people who support the wrong party, but really anyone who's speaking their mind, is because it is so powerful. They basically raised generations to believe that this particular word is the worst possible thing you could be or be called or even be associated with, to the point where you'll lose your job.
Yep.
You can't run for office if you've posted a tweet that someone else considers that. Like there's all this. It's a pathological problem in our society right now, to the point where there are people who think violence is okay if someone was racist. When in reality, the whole purpose of not being racist is so you don't escalate to violence. Violence is the far worse option between those two things. So there's big mismatch. There's this big kind of pathological problem we have across the West right now with these terms, and they need to be defanged.
Yeah,
because the reality
the microphone for them, the bullhorn for them is the media. I'm never, ever, ever going to let go of this bone. It is the media. Without the media, none of this stuff works at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's, Stephen, I want to harken back to the 2020 campaign and recall Biden's infamous, "You don't vote for me, you ain't black." The Dems actually believe that, don't they? Oh, you get back on that plantation there. Get back on that plantation, you uppity, you know what. That really is the attitude.
Oh, it is, absolutely. Yeah, it's they portray anyone any African American who's voting conservative, voting Republican, as an Uncle Tom, a traitor, a race traitor, and it's just so galling to think, who are you to define who is black and what the black experience is?
Yeah, it's a white guy. It's a white guy defining what black is. I mean, Isn't there sort of a philosophical conundrum there? Like, you can't talk about abortion if you're a man because you can't get pregnant. Right. Well, how can you talk about being black? Very white, pasty Joe Biden.
Right. Who has made some, what some would say are some racist statements himself in the past.
Yeah, I got to think good point to remember. There's, when Obama sort of popped onto the scene, he was like, oh, here's a black dude who actually is articulate. Let's push him. That's what he said.
Right. Exactly. And there are many other statements, many other gaps that he's made regarding race. And so, yeah, it's just. It just shows how they demand groupthink, basically, from African Americans and anyone who's demonstrating any kind of independent thinking, any sort of inclination toward conservatism is just outside the fold for sure.
Yeah, they don't want anything to do with anything. You remember back, to go on Arthur's point that he brought up, this word racism. If you remember back in the 2008 campaign with Obama, I remember watching all sorts of various shows on Political Junk. I don't think it's a big surprise to any of our viewers. I've been watching stuff since I was 12 because I'm a geek. And all of this stuff, I noticed that the moment anybody challenged anything that Obama was putting forward from a policy perspective, I remember Robert Reich sitting there on the line going, well, you're saying that because you're a racist. And I was like, whoa, did he just say that? They're talking, I can't remember if it was like taxes or investment in infrastructure or something like that. And Obama had put something forward, and the guy, the guest, was like, no, I don't think that's going to work very well. Right? So, because you're a racist. What does building bridges or spending the money there or on roads have to do with, whether you're a racist or not? I mean, roads are just sort of non-racist, aren't they, Arthur?
Not today. Have you not heard? I'm pretty sure driving a white car is racist at this point in time.
Uh-oh.
No, it's like I said earlier, these are just powerful political tools, and they've set them up to be so powerful because everyone's taught that if I say this about someone else, everyone now needs to shun that person. Doesn't matter what they've said.
Right.
Doesn't matter what merit there might be. Doesn't matter that I'm probably saying this because I don't want to have to deal with an actual intellectual conversation about what is going on. That doesn't matter. Yeah. I've said the word. Everyone now needs to shun you. That's
exactly it. Okay, guys, we're going to leave it there for today. Thank you. But before we sign off, with just 92 days to go, Kamala is a done deal. She's the Dems candidate without a single primary vote ever being cast for her in 2024 or 2020. She is the female reincarnation of Obama, who still controls the entire swamp and its apparatus from behind the scenes. Remember, he's the only president to leave office and then set up a residence in D.C. He just needs to be close in the neighborhood so he can keep controlling things. All the other presidents just simply retire into obscurity. They go to the ranch and things are done, but not him. Kamala is rightfully earning the nickname "O Kamala," building on O Biden's brand, but even more to the left. As we see the race now settling in, we also see the world markets adjusting to it, and the word is crash. A large jump in unemployment announced just last week will force an interest rate cut, but it's only going to be cosmetic in order to help the Harris campaign, just like Biden's depleting of the strategic oil reserves by him to artificially lower gas prices last summer, and like shifting the burden of the national student debt is being done to capture younger voters who apparently didn't learn much as they were racking up those debts. By the way, we're all going to be paying that. The debts aren't canceled, they're just transferred. It's all a game of manipulation and fake images, from Kamala's ethnicity to her campaign rallies to all the communist blather about being unburdened by the past. Take a look at this.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be unburdened by what has been.
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 What we can see, what we believe can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
Who we can be unburdened by who we have been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
Where we can be unburdened by where we have been and unburdened by where we are right now.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
By the way, that whole idea of what can be unburdened by what has been, that's a paraphrase right out of Karl Marx, who says we have to build a future with no connection to the past because the past is seen as bad. So when she talks about the past, she means Western civilization and all that came with it, including and especially God and religion. She wants a new society unburdened by all that morality and patriotism. That's why she publicly supports women being pummeled by men in the boxing ring in Paris. She has to support that because it's all part and parcel of being unburdened by the past. Fairness, distinction between the sexes, two sexes, and just two, all of that must be jettisoned in the brave new world of Kamala. Christianity, especially Catholicism, which built Western civilization from the ashes of the Roman Empire, does of course recognize a hierarchy in the world, material as well as spiritual, but it also understands the hierarchy is in place for the benefit of those under it, not for the prospering of those on top. It's a civilization built on gospel values of charity and self-sacrifice for the good of the other, even if it has, admittedly, of course, been imperfectly executed over the millennia. It still strives for that and has made tremendous progress over those same millennia. If it had not been very successful, Kamala and her camp would not be hell-bent on destroying it. Fairness, liberty, freedom, these are Catholic Christian principles rooted in that past. The past communists want to be unburdened from. God love you. I'm Gary Michael Vorse.